Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Access City Council. I'm your host, City of Las Vegas Communications Director David Riggleman. Coming up on this show, a new pedestrian bridge on Summerlin Parkway is dedicated in memory of a young man killed in a crash. And as the COVID-19 pandemic continues, opioid use is on the rise. We tell you what many in the community are doing to raise awareness and to reach those in need. Of course, the councilwoman who represents Ward 2 is Victoria Seaman. She joins me now. Welcome back to the program. How are you doing?
Good to be here.
It's been an eventful year, and it just continues that way.
Certainly has.
It's great to have you on the show. Again, we're socially distanced, as you can see, because, of course, COVID is still among us, but we're working through it and making some progress, hopefully. Sooner or later, this has got to be behind us, but
it will be behind us. It will.
We're getting there.
But we're working through it.
Yeah, getting there. Ward 2, if you're not familiar, is our stomping grounds. Of course, Councilwoman represents that area. I happen to live out there as well. It's the area basically west of the Rainbow Curve. There on the map, obviously appropriately enough, we have the 2 on it. But if you live in that area or work in that area, then you are in the city limits of the city of Las Vegas. And of course, if you're a resident out there, you're represented by Victoria Seaman. That area west of the 215.
Growing.
Boy, taking off, yeah.
Growing like crazy.
And you know, it's such an odd year because we hear, the impact on the economy, but at the same time, homes are selling. So
we have a lot of folks coming here from other states.
I don't know what to make of all of that, but I guess, that's a good thing.
A lot of people come. Yes, absolutely, because it's keeping our housing prices up and the economy. So I'm grateful for that.
It's not all bad news, thank goodness, because for so much of this year it felt that way. But anyway, a special dedication took place in your ward. Want to tell everybody about. This was important. You posted this on Facebook. You said, we dedicated the new pedestrian bridge to Alex Lawrence. He was killed in 2011 while trying to avoid a pedestrian crossing the Summerlin Parkway. Tragic accident. Pedestrian was running across the road. Alex swerved to avoid them.
Alex was in California going to school. And he was coming home to visit his parents, and he tried to avoid the pedestrian and was killed. And thanks to David Cervantes, a friend of mine and a friend of the family's, for reaching out to me and asking if this could be dedicated to him. And it was the exact spot where he avoided the pedestrian. So the family was really grateful. I'm really happy that we were able to do that. And what a bridge it is. Yeah,
it really is. If you drive Summerlin Parkway, you know that it took a while to get it completed because we had to avoid the construction for a lot of it. But it's done now. It's beautiful. Look at it. Turned out spectacularly. And what a great amenity now. If you live, especially if you live just south of Summerlin Parkway, now you can just take that bridge right over to Kellogg's Air Park, all the amenities over at the park, the dog park, soccer fields, tennis courts, all that are over there.
It made it impossible before this bridge to walk to the park if you live there
because of the freeway. You had to go either up to Durango or all the way down to Buffalo, and then work your way around. And that's a hike.
Great addition to Ward 2.
Yeah, and I think that obviously that meant a lot to his family. We saw Alex's family in the video.
It did.
Had to have been.
And we had a great turnout.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of folks wanted to come and see the bridge being dedicated to Alex.
Yeah. So when you cross the bridge and you see the name on there, now you'll know who he was and why he's so important to the city of Las Vegas. So, someone else we're keeping track of his progress is Officer Shea Michelanis, shot during one of the demonstrations earlier this year. And how's he doing, Councilwoman? I know you've been in touch with the families. How's it going?
People that know the family, I've been in touch with, not the family directly, and they're doing the best they can to help him with his rehabilitation. It's just, I just keep praying for him every day. Pray for a miracle.
Now he is at a facility for quadriplegics currently.
Correct.
And I believe
it's one of the best from what I understand. So we're just praying for him and praying that he'll recover best as he can.
It's been a hard year in so many ways. So wishing him good luck.
You know what's the nice thing is I hear from people that he was just such a great guy. He's a great guy. So good officer.
Well, wishing him the very best and his family through this very difficult time, no question. And we've got a reminder for everybody, Councilwoman, that if you haven't filled out your census, time is running out.
And
I know
so important.
The clock is ticking on this now.
So important. So folks don't know, it's really important that we get an exact count of how many residents we have here in Nevada, not just for congressional seats, but also for money from the federal government for our state. And I don't think people realize that. So I'm urging everyone to go online and make sure that you're counted for the census. A few questions.
It's easy. It takes literally just a few minutes.
A minute, yeah.
And that's how to do it. You can go to 2020census.gov, or you can call that number 844-330-2020. They're going to send some census takers out. It's a little difficult with COVID, but if you haven't completed it online, you can have someone come to your home to be counted. But it's like you say, Councilman, it's just vital that everyone be counted. And the information is confidential. I think people feel like if they tell
it's an invasion of privacy, but it's not.
No.
And the nice thing is like you said, you don't really want someone to come to your house, so just go online.
Exactly.
Or if you don't have a computer, just call the number.
And you can take care of the census that way. The information, by the way, is secured for 72 sealed for 72 years. So you're not going to have to worry about telling, what you're telling to the census takers, to the Census Bureau, becoming public information. In fact, they don't share that information with anyone other than the Census Bureau.
That's right.
So it's okay.
So I'm urging everyone
to
please get registered.
Exactly. Make sure that happens. And I'm going to remind everybody, too, there's another important reason, because we're in a battle with Reno to see who has a higher participation rate. And we're that far ahead. We want to stay that way.
Let's stay there.
Losers have to wear the other school's jerseys to a city council meeting. So when they lose, they're going to have to wear UNLV jerseys at their council meetings. That's what we're shooting for here. So please be sure, on a serious note, please be sure that you've filled out your census. It's vital to our state. As Councilwoman said, all the federal funding that we get is based on the number of people that live in the state. And it's significant. For every missed person, we're talking about $20,000 potentially that's missed for our state. So it's significant.
Per person.
Exactly. So everybody being counted is really vital. I want to tell everybody out there, you have a big change. You've had this great segment called Small Business Sunday, and it's now moving to Small Business Saturday.
We just changed it up just a little bit. So now
I love this segment. I really do.
Yes. Oh, well, we were talking about it.
Yeah.
There's so many great businesses in Ward 2 that people just don't know about.
Exactly.
And so our Business Saturday is for any business in Ward 2. Just contact us, Ward 2 at lasvegasnevada.gov, or call our office 702-229-2420, and we will come out, or you can come to the office and we'll do a little segment on your business, 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll put it all over social media. And this is so important. People look forward to seeing who we're featuring.
I've lived in the ward for over 20 years, and I learned something every time because I didn't know about these businesses.
Right.
Pizza places,
the
cleaners,
new Bambina.
Exactly.
Yeah,
all these spots
one.
that, I had no idea that they were there. Now I do.
Now you know, and it can be a dry cleaner, restaurant. Yeah. It doesn't matter what type of business you
You've
have.
You've featured so many different ones. Yeah, it's been great.
I'm happy to do it, and I like getting to know the owners or the managers so that they understand that if we can help them in any way, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
I'm very pro-business. I love helping small businesses.
Well, especially in the year that we're having, if you can support small business out there, that makes a huge difference.
Huge.
So a lot of these folks are really struggling to keep their doors open.
Absolutely.
So what you can do to send business their way is obviously very greatly appreciated. But again, it's a wonderful segment. You can follow it on the Councilwoman's Facebook or Instagram,
Instagram and Twitter.
And Twitter too. And so it's a lot of fun. I like I say, I always enjoy the segment because some of these places are literally around the corner from me, and I didn't know they were there. So good stuff. And then we want to tell everybody, Councilwoman, we're heading into the fall. It's coming up here, and so we're going to be doing some movies in the park, right?
That's
We've got
right.
the Ward 2 movie in the park coming up on October 9th out at Bruce Trent Park. That's there at Vegas and Rampart, great park. And the movie is Maleficent, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And I want to tell folks, we are sprucing up that park, but we'll talk about that in another segment when it's done. But by October 9th, you'll see that we are really improving the park, Bruce Trent.
Yeah,
so.
it's a really convenient location right there.
It
like
is.
I say, Vegas and Rampart, easy to get to, not far from Summerlin Parkway. So it's a park that gets a lot of use.
And we'll have all new features there.
That's
yes.
wonderful. That's really nice.
I'm really excited about that.
Well, good stuff all the way around. Excited for that, and heading into some things maybe more normal again, as we head into the fall. So, well, we need to take a short break, but when we come back, the impact the COVID-19 pandemic is having on the opioid crisis. That's next, so please stay with us.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Welcome back, everyone. More than 20 million people in the United States suffer from substance abuse. Now, COVID-19 has left so many locked down, laid off, and left with uncertainty that overdoses are up, are you ready for this, by 125%. And by July, we've already passed the total for all of 2019. It's certainly been a very challenging and tough time for everyone. And with us today to discuss where people can turn for help is Sean O'Donnell. Sean is the Director of Communications and Marketing for the Nevada Recovery Network. Sean, thanks so much for being here. Councilwoman, I know this is something we've talked about on this show in the past, how to help those in the community. I think the opioid crisis especially is bigger than a lot of people fully realize. Exactly.
We all know someone who has, most people know someone who's lost a loved one to overdose. And we know that there's a huge addiction problem, which leads to these overdoses. Yeah. And it's something that we need to really talk about and open up about so we can save lives.
Exactly right. Well, Sean, thank you so much for being on the show. We know that there have been so many issues around the opioid crisis. Now enter COVID-19, and it just seems like the problem has just magnified tremendously.
That's absolutely right, David. So first of all, thank you so much for letting me be here with you and Councilwoman Seaman today and highlighting this very important issue that's so close to my heart personally. I am a person who is in long-term recovery myself, and I have lost very close friends to overdoses. And so it's very important for us to be getting this message out. And you're absolutely right. You know, this issue touches 1 in 3 American households. Wow. And with the COVID pandemic, we have just seen this exacerbated over the past few months of 2020. You had mentioned that overdose deaths in our area are up by 125%. There was a recent study done by Wellbeing Trust, which is a national public health group, and they're actually estimating that over 150,000 Americans could lose their lives to deaths of despair this year, which would be suicides and overdoses. So it is a very, very timely issue, and thank you for highlighting it.
Well, Sean, I know that part of the issue, and I know what the councilwoman is really hoping, is to help get the word out and to raise the awareness of the issue to help prevent some of the tragedies that we're already seeing. What can people do? What is our community doing to try to address this issue? It's clearly, it was a crisis, and now it's an even greater one.
Right, that's absolutely right. And you know, every Las Vegas citizen, any Nevadan can get involved, and they can help prevent overdose deaths and connect people who need help with help when they need it. And there are a few different resources that people should know about. First of all, I'll just mention that on Monday, it was actually International Overdose Awareness Day, which falls on August 31st of every year. City Hall had participated by lighting up the building purple. We had an online vigil that was broadcasted live out on Facebook, and we had connected people with resources. Some of those resources being, first and foremost, is that any citizen can get trained to recognize and reverse the signs of an opioid overdose, and they can carry the antidote, naloxone, also known as Narcan, on themselves. They can get that at organizations like Foundation for Recovery or the Southern Nevada Health District, among others like Track B, different harm reduction groups. So every citizen, that's one of the first steps, is to get yourself trained, carry naloxone, an overdose prevention kit, and also know that groups out there, nonprofits like Foundation for Recovery, offer at no cost to the community recovery support. So if anybody is seeking help, they can contact us at any time, and we're able to connect somebody who's seeking help with what we call a recovery coach, somebody who has lived experience, who has been there before, and we can help them navigate the different systems or whatever they need to find fulfilling life in long-term recovery.
Yeah. You know, Sean, it's interesting. I think in years past, I think there was this image that people who had substance abuse issues were kind of, I don't know, junkies, or I don't know, they just something
there was
to that
a
effect.
stigma.
The stigma that went with it. But I think, Councilman, you and I have talked about this, and Sean, from my own experiences, so many people started off with an injury of some type, or a surgery, or something that led to pain, that led to the addiction to the opioid then, and it would kind of follow that progression. So there were people that were just living their lives. I don't think they had the intention to go out and obviously ever get hooked, but that was the outcome of their path, and that's what makes this so scary, because anyone could find themselves in that situation.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, Dave, you're absolutely right. And that can be and has been the pathway for many Americans and Nevadans who may have found themselves previously injured, were then prescribed opioids, as many doctors were told by different pharmaceutical manufacturers, and then that individual may have developed a substance use disorder or an opioid use disorder to those medications. You know, now we're seeing a lot less prescribing in the country. We're still prescribing much more than we were back in the 90s. But, you know, regardless of whether someone has found their use, their substance use through a prescription or by other means, it's so important that our systems and our community are there to pick people up when they need it. And on the note of stigma, I will just give you another stat with another poll that was recently ran statewide. It was a scientific poll that was ran statewide in the state of Nevada, and over 79% of Nevadans believe that stigma, So negative views towards people who use drugs or people in recovery is a major barrier to care.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if Nevadans, if our own citizens believe this and know this to be true, then we need to start to address that stigma, treating people with compassion and respect, so that's no longer a barrier to the care that's already available.
Yeah, and that's such a good point, Sean, because it's really like any other illness, and you don't
Correct.
regard a stigma if someone who has some other type of illness is a stigma. You want to see them get help, and it should be the same, obviously, for those with substance abuse
That's right.
as well.
Yes, and that's why this awareness is so important. And I also want to thank our great mayor. She gave a proclamation for International Overdose Awareness Day.
Exactly, to help highlight that.
Yes,
Exactly, the city's
yes.
trying to do its part as well at all levels, the council level and the mayor's office as well. Sean, I wanted to ask you too tell us about the Southern Nevada Harm Reduction Alliance. I know that's an effort to try to address the issue as well, correct?
Yes, that is correct. The Southern Nevada Harm Reduction Alliance is essentially an alliance of many different organizations, individuals, and family members that come together, and we host educational opportunities for the community. We host events. We help connect people with resources that are available. And we also are the primary planners and sponsors of our local International Overdose Awareness Day here.
Very good, very good. Sean, if people are watching this segment, Councilwoman, and they maybe have an addiction problem themselves, they know someone who does, they suspect someone who they know might, what should they do? Where do you turn? Where do you begin to try to unravel this issue?
You know, I think a great place to start is actually connecting directly with communities of recovery right here in the Las Vegas community. And so that might look like contacting organizations like Foundation for Recovery, which is Nevada's statewide recovery community organization. You'll get connected directly with a recovery coach who will be able to connect you with different resources and really talk to you and hear you, listen to you. You can contact Foundation for Recovery Monday through Friday. Our office is open during normal office hours, 8 to 5, and we're also online. Feel free to chat with us on social or send us an email and someone will get back to you right away.
Yeah.
Is there an overdose hotline that people can call if they don't know what to do, or they would just call 911?
Yeah, you know, if you do suspect somebody is overdosing, the best thing to do is call 911 right away. That's what we always train people on. Call 911, let the responders know that you have somebody who is either not breathing or is unconscious, and that will move you to the top of the list and someone will get out there ASAP to give you help.
Yeah. Sean, I know this is important to the councilwoman, obviously to the mayor. What can we be doing as a community to do a better job here? What just the average folks out there, do you have some thoughts on what we should be doing to try to help fix this problem or to make it easier for people to get to recovery?
Yeah, you know, I think that, again, one of the first things to do is to get educated and carry naloxone on yourself. You know, anybody can carry it. You can just keep it in your purse or your bag or at home, just in the event that you ever do come across somebody who may be experiencing an overdose. That's step one. But I would also encourage any citizen, you know, to get involved. Every movement, every issue needs allies. So even if someone out there isn't personally impacted by this, you can make a difference just by getting connected with groups like the Southern Nevada Harm Reduction Alliance or with Foundation for Recovery or other groups that are trying to make an impact right here in our community.
Wow. It's a fascinating discussion and one that, you know, Sean, it's been so enlightening. I think we knew there was an opioid crisis, but now with COVID-19 here, I don't think
It's
any of us.
highlighted.
Yeah, exactly.
Highlighted.
I had no idea that it was to the magnitude that it is now.
And I would just like to ask, if we wanted to be trained and receive the drug naloxone to carry, how would we go about doing that, Sean?
That's a great question, Councilwoman. Anybody can contact Foundation for Recovery. You can give us a call at 702-257-8199. And we are actually right now, because of COVID, doing trainings online. So you will connect one-on-one with a trainer, just like via a Zoom meeting or like a FaceTime call, and we will go through all the steps with you. All the trainings are about 30 minutes, so they're pretty quick. And then we have overdose prevention kits, naloxone kits, at our facility that we can send you directly in the mail or even come and drop it off at your door. So we've been doing door-to-door naloxone distribution since the pandemic had started, and we've actually distributed over 800 naloxone kits across 5 Nevada counties so far. Of course, the Southern Nevada Health District is also a great resource.
And this saves lives.
Absolutely. This is a miracle medication that actually reverses the signs and symptoms of an opioid overdose.
Wow. Sean, fascinating. Thank you so much for being on the show. Really, I'm sure your information is going to be valuable to many people that are watching this. Is there anything you'd like to add? We're running a little light on time here. Is there anything else that you feel is really important that you want to make sure gets said?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to send my gratitude to City Council, Councilwoman Seaman, and of course our wonderful mayor for highlighting this issue so often. It's the elephant in the room. It's not talked about enough. And so it's so important that we're highlighting, you know, the families that have lost a loved one, people like myself who are in recovery, and getting this message out to the larger community. So, and for anyone who's watching who may be struggling, I just want to let you know that you are not alone. So many people have been there. There is help available, and reach out and we will be there to pick you up.
All right. Well, Sean, wishing you only the best in your work and in your personal life. Thank you so much for sharing all this with us today. It was really a valuable discussion. So, Councilwoman, so glad we had him on, and congratulations on the proclamation to them too for very fitting, very fitting. So, folks, we always want to tell you that, hey, we'd like to hear from you. If there's something you'd like to share with Councilwoman Victoria Seaman, you can always find her on Facebook and Twitter. She's all over social media, in fact. You can also contact the Councilwoman just by picking up the phone, 702-229-2420, or send her an email. Her address is vseaman@lasvegasnevada.gov, and she or one of her great staff will get back with you. So, Councilman, great job. Great discussion with Sean as well. So
yes, I'm so grateful that we brought Sean here today to talk about an issue that really needs to be talked about. We're all in this together.
Eye-opening discussion. So we'll see you again in 6 weeks with another update from Ward 2. And in the meantime, don't miss our next show beginning on September 10th with Ward 5 City Councilman Cedric Creer. You can now catch all of our KCLV shows on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget, you can watch us live on the internet at kclv.tv. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time around. Stay safe, please.